Hey, basement dwellers and Dacetacular Nation, or whatever you want to call yourselves. Welcome to another Dacetacular Mind. It is I, Chris Dace, a.k.a. the Dace Man. And today on the Dacetacular Mind, we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. My terrible Harry Callis impression. And yeah, I'm going to fucking praise from the high heavens, dancing on my own, because the song is a banger. I don't care if it's about some guy getting cucked. It's a fucking banger. But more importantly, I want to talk about the Phillies and my pod, or Dace family, which consists of Jess, Doug, Wade, and we'll get into why I call him Doug on the next episode, but the Phillies, man. The Phillies. So in the last 15 years, yes, 15. God, I gotta stop putting numbers to shit. 15 years was like, oh, I was in 6th grade. No, 15 years ago, I wasn't even in school. God, it's fucking terrible. Anyway, we're going to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. For 15 years, I've missed 2 opening days. In 2010, when I was unfortunately stuck at what's called a Go Live event for work in Moncton, New Brunswick, I wore my jersey, I listened to the game, and then sent my father and sister to it, who got to watch Cliff Lee, my favorite pitcher, pitch. And then 2020, which was a pandemic. Doesn't count. Actually, I've missed 3, because I missed 2021, where it was a limited attendance. I went to opening night. Didn't get to go to opening day, because it had half attendance. Not going to lie. I missed the 2021 season, because it was, it was nice. Not enough people there to get in your way. Now that they're doing well, it's fucking packed and it's kind of infuriating. But I want to talk about the Philadelphia Phillies. Can I talk about the Philadelphia Phillies? I want to call them the Phillies, but I don't want to get sued for calling them like the Phonetics. I want to call them the Fanatic a little bit from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia. Anyway, I want to talk about the Phillies and my specific pod because Wade has never known a Phillies team that hasn't made the playoffs. That is a feather in the cap, and I hope I didn't fuck him for the 2024 season. Doug, we'll go with he hasn't noticed a team that wasn't in the playoffs, but he was unfortunately born in what we call the Dark Ages, before Bryce Harper came to town, before we signed JT, and before we were dancing on our own. And then the other one, Dougette, Jess's oldest, was born the year they won a World Series. Think about that. That's a constant reminder of something Philadelphia hasn't had. Look at her face and be like, yeah, when you were born is the last time we were champions. But the Philadelphia Phillies are very important to me, and here's why they're very important to me. It is my sanctuary. It is my home away from home. Walking into Citizens Bank Park, it is like a feeling like no other. The atmosphere, the air, and it's a unique air because outside the stadium, it smells like shithole Philadelphia. But when you walk into the stadium, it feels fresh. It feels new. You feel reinvigorated. You think the Phils are going to go all the way. And for 15 years, when I decided to start tracking these guys, and I'll admit, started going to games on a regular basis in 2007. You can call me a bandwagon guy. That's fine. I didn't invest fully into them probably until 2009. So in my, we'll call fandom, or dedicated fandom, where I would say, like, hey, I went to more than 10, well, we're up to about 25 games a year now. And in some years, I got that pass that would take you to almost every home game. I would say I haven't experienced a World Series championship in my, I know all the players on the team, I know players in the minor league system, and now I'm starting to know players around the league. Era. And so the last couple years have been truly fucking exciting for me. I did come in at a high note. 2008 was the World Series win, which was cool. I remember watching that on TV. I didn't go over for the parade because I still wasn't fully a sports guy. Still not. Just baseball. But then 2009 was fun. Got all the way to the World Series, didn't make it, and then we did that weird step down process, which I hope we're not doing now. Where basically, won the World Series, went to the World Series, went to the championship, went to divisional, then the Dark Ages. But it was fun. 2009 to 2011 was a hell of a ride. I was at a lot of those pivotal games. Watched a lot of those pivotal moments on TV, and it was a fun time. And then I stuck with them. So I feel like I've done my time dealing with those rosters that happened between 2012 and 2019. But the Phillies, I really, like, that became my thing. When it came to, like, hey, what are you doing in the summer? We're going to go out. Like, I used to go to movies all the time. Don't do that too much because of streaming / it's ridiculous to pay for them. And movies just aren't that great these days. But now this is like, hey, I got a partial season pass. I've been going to some playoff games, following them out of town, and we'll talk more about that. But they are a defining cornerstone of my Dace family. In 2019, before I have the family I have now, I started buying the passes where, like, they had the August summer pass where you got every August home game for standing room. Fantastic. 2020 happened. Rough. 2022, which is when the fun started to begin, they offered that standing room pass for all 80 home games, except opening day. I had to buy that separately. So for 80 games, I had tickets to go see them. And I would say we went to about 30 to 35 games. And the cool thing, too, was Wade was just born. And in that year, we went to the Mets Stadium. We went to, no, we only did the Mets that year. But it was a beginning of something that's fun. And now in the off season, we're planning what are we doing this year? And of course, they went on that stressful fucking run because until June, they sucked. They fired Girardi. It looked very bleak for them. You made all these big contract signings. You brought in Schwarber. I still prefer Kutch. You brought in Castellanos. Casty's my dog. And then some of the young bucks started coming up. We lost Didi, but we got Bryson. We lost Gene, and now we have Trey Turner. So we have made significant upgrades to our roster, and the team is fun. I think that's the key thing. And the fun thing about this team is it makes it fun for my family and I. By no means of the matter were any of us baseball fans. I went every year. I would go to many games as I could. It was a good release. It's not an expensive journey to go over there. So when I was dating the previous girl and her son, we would go over there. My new pod, I'm going over there. Even before dating, I would go over there just because, to me, that was a cool date. Grab some tickets, go catch a ball game, have a beer, walk to stadium. It's very relaxing. So the Phillies have been kind of ingrained into me since 2009. Again, started loosely watching 2007 when I was drugged to a few games. Like, hey, I think you're going to, like, basically I offered my services of, like, okay, one sport will get my attention. Place your bids now. And I'll tell you right now, in 2024, baseball won, obviously, and football is banned. Fuck football. I just can't stand it. And it has to. That could be a whole episode in and of itself. But the Phillies allow me an opportunity for relatively cheap, in this day and age. Cheap is still not cheap, but, like, to get tickets, you can get, like, the rooftop bleachers, you can get the 400s, you can make your way down to the standing room, or you can just kind of walk around. I'll tell you one thing I didn't care for is when they introduced the pitch clock, because now the experience isn't as long. It was a day out when you went. It was a 4 to 5 hour trip, and I enjoyed it. There's just something about it that's hard to put in words. But to watch the Phillies, to grow with the Phillies, to deal with the pain of the Phillies, because there's some rough fucking years, man. Rough years. And it's a shame because there were some glimmers of hope in that roster. I remember telling Eric one time, because we do the Jersey Bullies / Jersey Fanatics podcast on BBP occasionally. Jose Bautista, the legendary Blue Jays player, was on the Phillies for half a season. And it was the half a season where I went to almost every August home game. Meaning I saw Jose Bautista play almost daily and have no recollection of watching him play. So these dark periods of the Phillies, I have like PTSD and have blocked out of my memory, um, which is crazy because I seen that. I remember Papelbon being signed. I went to a lot of those games where Papelbon pitched. I can't remember Papelbon pitching. We have Maikel Franco. Reese, I was there for his debut. Don't fucking remember it. Kutch, big fan. He had, what, a 5-year deal here in Philly? I remember the last 2. And when I did standing room, I stood over in his side of the field. It's crazy because these last 2 years where I want to focus on, this year too, it's been reinvigorating and very vivid in my memory, and I don't think I'm going to lose any of these memories. And the cool thing I'm trying to do with my kids, well, at least with Doug and Wade, the older Dougette, it's tough because she was born in the World Series year, is I'm trying to get their baseball cards for the Phillies teams for each year so they have that tracked with them. And I'm trying to get them the memorabilia. And like, the boys really like baseball. Dougette, she had fun the couple times she went, but it's not her cup of tea, and good for Dougette. We go to a board game convention in the fall to appease her interests and take her to other conventions and things like that. But the boys have really embraced it, especially like Doug. Doug, and I have a whole episode dedicated to him this season. He is innocence personified. He doesn't know, right, like, any different. You could tell him the sun's going to turn green tomorrow, he'd probably believe you. But he really has embraced the Phillies to the point where, like, he knows player names. He wants to wear the jerseys. He got excited that spring training just recently started. He can't wait to get back to the ballpark. And he's starting to pay attention. Before, when we started first taking him, it was more of just like, oh, what are you buying me here to keep me entertained? Can I bring my Switch? Can I bring my tablet? I want to do anything but watch the fucking game. Now he's paying attention. Now he's caring a little bit, and now he wants to go. And then there's Wade, who he has been born at a perfect time, because, again, I started this episode with saying he has never known a Phillies team that hasn't made the playoffs. Again, probably fucked him for 2024, but the first 2 years were a hell of a ride. He was not even 6 months old, and he was at a National League division game. My first National League division game as a human being in my 34 years of existence, he did it in 6 months. Doug did it in 5 years. Then they were both at the wild card game last year with the Miami Marlins. And then this year, if they make it, we're going to at least be at 1 game per division series, because I went and bought season tickets. Because these are moments these kids will have. And I hope they grow up and they appreciate it and they don't become like a Yankees fan out of spite. But I have thoroughly enjoyed these last 2 years, not because they're winning. If you pay attention to their regular season, you don't know if they're making the playoffs till mid-September. It's a very stressful fucking year to be a Phillies fan. You got the Braves that are running fucking roughshod on the National League East, and then some other wild card teams that are pretty fucking good. Like with the 3 wild card seats, you think at least one of them would be safe. Not with the Phillies. Even though they took the first wild card last year, that year before, 2022, when they went on that tear in the playoffs, it was a few days. I think it was the 3 days before the season ended that they clinched in Houston. Like, come on. Give me a little, I don't want to be the Braves where, like, by June you know you're going. I'd like to be comfortable by maybe the end of July, or like look at the All-Star break and like, oh, we're gonna count on next season. So you can't even say the excitement for this team is because they're just winners. They are in October, which they haven't won the big one yet, but they have a good fucking ratio in October to where you would still be happy. But it is stressful as shit from April all the way to mid-September, because they have not shown any indication of like running away with a division or running away with a wild card. So don't take my excitement and my love for this team just because they're winning. It's not. It's the experience. The kids and it's something we do as a family. It's on our calendar. We have one of those Amazon Show 15 screen inch TV, like camera TV things that has our calendar on there, and all the Philly games are on there. It tracks them, knows when we're going, gives us the updates. I'm probably going to get a notification in the middle of this recording about the lineup today for the spring training games, and it's an integral part of our life. So much so that between like November and February, it's weird. We don't have anything to do, more say, and it adds that winter weepies. And even with like this past off season, it was quiet. They signed Nola like out the gate and then didn't do anything, and they still haven't. And they're in like the first full week of spring training as of this recording, and it's crazy to me because it has become an integral part of our family. We all have jerseys. We all have our favorite players. Jess is in love with Alec Bohm. If I come on here and do an episode of crying about why Jess left me, it's because she ran away with Alec Bohm. I'm a big fan of Nick Castellanos. He's got a hell of a swag. I know he got some shit for his first year. He's still chasing at the beginning of spring training this year. Doug. Big fan of JT. And, Wade he just has a Harper shirt. He has a Harper and a Turner shirt. So he's going to be a fan of those until he can understand. But there's not a guy on this team we don't like. So if you look back at the last 2 years, I have been overly critical of Rhys Hoskins. Rhys was there for the dark period. Trooper. He was a glimmering light in darkness. He's now a Brewer. Even though I think defensively he is mediocre at best. And I know he's got some pop off the bat that can really make the fans go nuts. It sucked seeing him leave. And even the kids were like, kind of like, Doug, about Rhys. When I told him like Harper was playing first permanently, he thought Rhys was coming back. And it's just a kind of a weird feeling because Big Fella was here for a while and now he's Pee-wee over the Brewers, which is demeaning in my opinion. The kids they're invested. He was expecting Rhys at first. That to me blows my mind. Which he's going to be devastated if JT leaves the fucking team. They have so much fun there. They like the big chair. They like the Fanatic area. They love the Fanatic himself. They know what food they want. Like, I don't have to fight with them to eat when we go to the ballpark. If I make them food at home, it's a fucking war. And Wade has grown up there. Every time we walk Wade in, somebody's like, hey, do you want to get the first game certificate? And it's like, he has been to about 40 games by now. He's been to 5 different stadiums. We started traveling with the Phillies. So the first year, when Wade was in 2022, the only stadium we visited outside of Citizens Bank Park was Mets. We decided to go up to Citi Field. We went with Tyler and Sammy. Brought the boys. Had a good time. 2023, we really expanded their horizons. The first Phillies game of the year we caught was up at Yankee Stadium. Pulled Doug out of school, got Wade all strapped up, went up on a Colt. We went on the Bronx fucking train, which is disgusting. Had a good fucking time there. The game wasn't the greatest because, again, stressful until mid-September with these damn Phillies. But we went up to Yankee Stadium. A couple months later, we went down to D.C. Had a nice day down there. Caught the Phillies playing the Nationals. Doug got I'm going to keep calling him by his real name. It's driving me nuts. Doug went and played in the Nationals area. We got to see D.C., did the Smithsonian of American history. Probably will go down there again this year because Space and Air is the museum to go to if you're going to a museum down there. But apparently they take reservations now, so be prepared for that. And then we also ended up in Pittsburgh. Made a whole weekend out of it. Caught 2 games there. Got really good seats for the Sunday game. Enjoyed the Saturday night game, kind of walking around the stadium. Stayed right on the river in Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a beautiful city, beautiful ballpark. You get to see the whole bridge. The city skyline's like right up on there. I know in certain areas of Citizens Bank Park you can see the Philly skyline, but not like Pittsburgh. So if you get a chance to go to PNC Park, go. It's phenomenal. Boys loved it. They got their stuffed pierogies. We had actual pierogies. And then we drove home. We made a whole weekend of it. And we had a good time in Pittsburgh, which is weird to say. This year, we've already booked a trip up to Boston. We're going to, for the first time for myself and the boys, we'll be going to PNC, or the Fenway Park. The last couple parks, the only one that I had not been to was Mets City Field. That was my first time in 2022, as well as the boys. But I had been to PNC on multiple occasions when I worked in Pittsburgh for a bit. DC's an easy run. But this year, we're going to go to Fenway. We already have a plan for June to head up there, stay through the week, experience Boston with the boys. And then that weekend, we're planning to shoot down to Baltimore when they play the Orioles in Camden Yards. So they're going to check 2 more parks off their checklist already. So that means they've been to Citizens Bank Park, Yankee Stadium, Citi Field, PNC Bank, or PNC Park, the Pittsburgh Pirates, the Washington Nationals Park, which I can't remember off the top of my head, and they're going to add 2 more. By age 7, Jimmy would have been to 7 stadiums. Age 2, Wade has been to 7 stadiums. And we're already making plans of how we can start getting them to the ones that are further away since we've conquered the Northeast. But that's what the Phillies mean to us. We're planning for spring training in 2025. We wanted to go this year. Things didn't really pan out the way we had planned because of certain travel restrictions, and we want to do other trips like Boston, and we want to head back out to Missouri to visit her sister. But realistically, the Phillies are an integral part of our life. Spring training starts, we're watching the first game that we can on the MLB app. And we follow them until their last game, hopefully, at the end of October. And we're hawking the off season. We're exchanging Philadelphia Phillies gifts. It's just a fun time. We absolutely love the Phillies. There's no doubt about it. We're excited for the upcoming season. I'm trying to track all the memorabilia for the kids. I want this to be a thing that I can share with them. Do we have other moments? Absolutely. We're going to WrestleMania this year because it's in Philadelphia. We've spent a weekend up at the American Dream in North Jersey to go to the Nickelodeon theme park. I took them to Disney, which was the first time for me in 15 years. But because I had them, I wanted to go. I want to go again. So there's a lot of moments I tried to spend with my kids, give them memories, give them the stuff that I didn't have. And I'm not complaining that I didn't have this stuff as a kid, but I want the kids to have the best life they can. Enjoy it now, because when you're an adult, it starts to suck. The Phillies are part of that. Will they be Phillies fans when they grow up? Who knows? You know, you don't expect them to take everything you try to imprint on them, but at least they had the opportunities. Am I going to keep going every year? Probably. Will I scale back? Most likely. Right now I'm paying for 3 because Wade's under the age of 2. Unfortunately, I think once Wade has to be considered a human being and has to be paid for, I might have to pull back because it does get expensive. But it's a lot of fun for me, and I wouldn't trade it for the world. The Philadelphia Phillies from 2022 to now have been an integral part of our life. 2021, Jimmy got to experience it for the first time. 2022, he now has a brother who's also experienced it with him, and we've been having nothing but fun. Our drive down to Disney in 2022 when they were in the World Series, we sang Dancing on Our Own several times, almost every state, on our drive down there. Myself, Jess, Doug, Wade, and my nephew Junior. You might remember him from the Dace Man Show Next Generation podcast that was shortly lived. Phillies are just, it's hard to, I keep saying it's cheap. It's not. I can understand to go to the amount of games we go to and the things we do by following them to other cities, it can add up. And it does add up. But we could go to 25 games. That would be one Eagles game. For a sport that I have no interest in. Doug's brought it up a couple times that he wants to watch an Eagles game. Fantastic. I tell him you got to hook your leash to Uncle Eric or Uncle Justin, Uncle Tyler, Uncle Jared. Find one of them, because I have no interest in fucking football whatsoever, and you're going to have a miserable time there because I'm going to be miserable. It's during the part of the year that's usually cold. I'm not a big fan of Eagles fans. I have friends that are Eagles fans. I love them, but when it's football season, I just don't talk to me. I get it. It's your thing, not my thing. But the Phillies are. It's just to me, when it comes to the sports in the Philadelphia area, that's the family outing. The Eagles, I would tend to lean towards. That's more of like, hey, that's my 20s or my single life 30s. That's more what that's geared to. Flyers, hit or miss. I've taken the family to a couple games there. It's a fun time because of gritty and, not caring about the sport and just enjoying the Wells Fargo Center. And then I heard basketball is fun. Not my cup of tea. But the Phillies are during the perfect weather seasons to enjoy outdoors. I always prefer outdoor venues when I watch concerts and stuff like that. So to me, that's better. They're during warmer months, longer days. So you can spend it. We've spent entire days down in the campground area, down in Wading Pines and down in Batstow Village, and then made the drive up to catch a game at Citizens Bank Park that night. So you can get more out of the day, and it's probably associated with the season. But ultimately, the Phillies and the Daces are like tuna, fish, and jelly, or whatever the fuck they said in Big Daddy. It's a part of us. We have jerseys, we have memorabilia, we have all the bobbleheads. We try to go to every theme night that they give stuff away. We go sometimes just to enjoy the ballpark. There was times that we've gone there, ate dinner, maybe saw 3 innings, and then just kind of left. I know that sounds like super fucking privileged and super elitist, but it's an outing for us. It's a bonding experience for us, and it's something we all enjoy. And for that, I am so thankful that I have that with my family and my kids, especially my kids, that they're excited to go. It's not pulling teeth to drag them to go. There's some things we've done for them that they don't want to do, and they're dickheads about it. Real dickheads. With baseball, they're not. At least they've evolved into the point where they're not. There are some games, playoffs I know have been rough, because it's shorter days, it's darker out quicker. They do this stupid fucking schedule where all of a sudden the Phillies are playing at 8 o'clock at night, and they're running, you want to stay for all 9 innings because it's a playoff game, so it's a little rough for kids on that aspect of it. But during the summer, it's a ball. Jimmy has run the bases. Doug has run the bases. Doug has, he's done it all. He's eaten from almost every fucking vendor there. And he's a Phillies fan. And that's something I get to leave behind for him. And I hopefully leave behind for Wade too. Wade is a food fan. I don't know if he realizes baseball's happening behind him. He'll get there. He does dance to the Dancing on My Own. Whenever that song comes on, he will stop where he is and start doing his little Wade shuffle. He gets excited when he hears Dan Baker say JT Realmuto. And God, I just love the combo of the Phillies and my family. It is my favorite experience. We're going at the end of the month for opening day. We have opening night tickets. We have several tickets for throughout the season because we have the season ticket plans. I am stoked because it is the outing. It is my getaway. It is my sanctuary. My phone doesn't like to work when I'm there, so nobody can bother me. It is fantastic. And that's why I wanted to have an episode dedicated to the Phillies and the Daces, because it's part of our life. And the last 2 years, as stressful as the months of April to September are, because you're watching all 162 games, you're hoping your team gets in there. I'm doing it with my family. I'm doing it with my kids. And I love every fucking moment. And I said fucking with a PH, not an F. I don't know if you heard it. I heard it. I saw it. Well, that's going to do it for us here on episode 3 of A Dacetacular Mind. It's just, I'm getting goosebumps now thinking about this upcoming season. The 2 trips we have planned are in early June. I'm hoping we do more. Might go back up to Pittsburgh again because that was fun. But I really enjoy Citizens Bank Park. Thank you, John Middleton, because we could be Athletics fans. Like, if we lived in Oakland, whew, I don't know if I'd be speaking so kindly about baseball. I feel bad for them. Like, I think we have a really good organization in the Phillies that care about the fan experience, albeit I'm sure the dollar dog thing is still going to be controversial till the end. Fucking fans fucked that up, so I'm not blaming Phillies for doing that. You're throwing fucking hot dogs at a ballpark. What if it gets on the field, hits a player, hurts somebody, you fall off the goddamn second deck? You're stupid. Stop being stupid. You're ruining things for others. But the organization itself, the team, the team is... You haven't had a team like this since the 08 team, the 09 team, like where you feel like they're just gelling and they're having fun. You used to hear like how miserable it was during the dark eras, probably part because they sucked so bad they kept losing. But this team wasn't always. Again, this team is so stressful between April and September. They don't know if they're going to the playoffs till mid-September. They try to keep on the positive face for the cameras, but come on, realistically, nobody feels confident about the playoffs until like the playoffs start and we actually have a spot. But they gel well. They have fun. There's so many moments. The dancing on my own thing, the hat, the home run hat when they did that bit with Kutch, Uncle Larry with Kutch. I miss Kutch. I miss Kutch so much. The major league thing they've been doing with the You've Got Big Balls. DJ Garrett Stubbs, the chief vibe officer. The shit that Andrew Knapp got for being such a terrible backup catcher. If you look at Stubbs' stats, he's about on par and plays way less games than Knapp did. Granted, he has JT in front of him that's really good at catching, but come on. But everybody loves Stubbs. You can't get rid of Stubbs. Like, I would have been devastated if they didn't re-sign him. Stubbs is the man. And I hope he finds a new banger. Until then, I'm dancing on my own. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. That's going to do it for us here on Dacetacular Mind, even though I said that about 10 minutes ago. Hope you enjoyed it. We got 3 episodes into season 3, so that's a good sign that we're actually, putting out... I don't know why I say we, because there's 2 personalities in here. There's the Dace Man and Chris Dace. Excited we put out 3 episodes. That's a good thing. When you're pumping out content, you're feeling good, you're getting things going. And make sure you tune in next week. Next week's episode, we're going to talk about a man they call Doug. And if you listen to my flubs in this episode, you know who the hell Doug is. We'll explain what Doug is and what Doug means to me and how Doug changed my life. Not to mention why I call him Doug. I didn't start it. Frank Ward started it. It sticks. Stage name. Doug. Gonna get Doug. Emu Limu. Doug. Anyway, it's going to do it for us here on the Dacetacular Mind. Make sure you just like us on Facebook, facebook.com/Basement Protocol Productions. Keep an eye there. We are working on stuff. At the time of this recording, not much is moving, but by the time this airs, we may have some progress and hopefully move towards the ultimate goal that we're shooting for in June. And maybe we have other podcasts flowing at the same time. I know there's a couple pod nerds we were talking about doing. Whether we got them up or not, I don't know. People have busy lives. This I can control. This is just me. This is my mind, a Dacetacular Mind. So remember, basement dwellers, stick to the protocol. We'll see you next week. Thank you for unlocking my mind.